Welcome, everybody, to another episode of I'll Read That, the show where your stories get heard. Today, we're going to continue on the journey that you've come along with me so far and continue reading my story entitled Toby. Chapter 7, Lost and Found. The autumn sun cast long golden shadows across the park as Toby and Lily enjoyed their routine walk. The crisp air was invigorating, and Toby bounded ahead, his tail wagging energetically. The park was alive with the vibrant colors of fall, and Toby reveled in the freedom of running through the piles of leaves. As they approached the playground area, Toby's ears perked up. He had a keen sense of sensing change in the environment, and today was no different. A commotion had begun to stir among a group of people gathered around a tree. Toby's attention was immediately drawn to the distressed voices and the anxious energy of the crowd. Lily, noticing Toby's focused gaze, gently tugged on his leash. "What's got you so worked up, boy?" she asked, following his line of sight. She saw a woman speaking frantically to others, and noticed a small, frightened child clinging to her parents. Toby's nose twitched as he caught a whiff of something. Fear and distress mingled with the unmistakable scent of a puppy. Without hesitation, he started to pull toward the commotion, his instinct guiding him. Lily, understanding Toby's alertness, quickened her pace to keep up. The sun had barely risen when Emily and her mother arrived at the park that morning, the dew still clinging to the grass, the air crisp with the freshness of early autumn. The park was alive with activity, children laughing, families strolling, and dogs chasing balls through the golden morning light. Emily's puppy, a tiny, excitable little thing with a coat of white and brown spots, was thrilled by the bustling scene. His tail wagged furiously as he bounded around the playground, nipping at leaves and barking joyfully at the birds that swooped overhead. Emily, just 6 years old, giggled as she tossed a small rubber ball for her puppy to chase. The puppy, whose name was Gizmo, darted after it with a playful yip, his legs too short for the speed he was trying to achieve. It was their favorite game. Emily would throw the ball, and Gizmo would chase it, sometimes bringing it back, sometimes getting distracted halfway through the return journey. This morning, the park felt like a world of adventure for both of them. The day had started perfectly. The sun shone through the trees, casting long shadows on the soft ground, while birds chirped from their perches high above. Families set up picnic blankets. Dogs trotted alongside their owners, and the occasional jogger passed by, smiling at the happy scene. Emily's mother sat on a nearby bench, chatting with a friend while keeping a close eye on her daughter and Gizmo. Then, in the blink of an eye, everything changed. Emily threw the ball a little farther than usual, and it bounced past a row of bushes at the edge of the playground. Gizmo, full of energy and excitement, dashed after it, disappearing behind the bushes. Emily called his name, expecting him to reappear as he always did, but this time he didn't. She called again. Louder, her voice tinged with worry, but there was no response. Gizmo had vanished. Panic quickly spread through Emily's tiny body as she ran toward the bushes, calling out for Gizmo, her voice becoming more frantic with each shout. Her mother, sensing something was wrong, rushed over. Together they combed the area where Gizmo had last been seen, searching behind trees and under benches, but there was no sign of him. "He was just here," Emily sobbed, her small hands clutching her mother's arm. "He always comes back, Mama." Her mother's heart ached at the sight of her daughter's tear-streaked face. She crouched down, holding Emily close as she tried to comfort her, though her own worry was starting to rise. "We'll find him, sweetheart. We'll keep looking." The park, once a place of joy and laughter, now felt too big and overwhelming. There were too many places a tiny puppy could hide. People nearby began to notice the commotion, some offering sympathetic smiles, others joining in the search. They called Gizmo's name, peering under the benches and around the bushes, but the puppy seemed to have vanished into thin air. Emily's mother tried to stay calm, but the tension in her voice was unmistakable, as she had thanked the people who were helping. The sun was climbing higher in the sky, and with every passing minute, the possibility of finding Gizmo seemed to grow slimmer. Emily's sobs turned into hiccups as she clung to her mother's leg, her small face pressed into the fabric of her mother's coat. Lily and Toby reached the group, and Lily spoke to the concerned woman. "What's going on?" The woman, her face flushed with worry, replied, "My daughter, Emily, lost her puppy. She was playing here, and the puppy ran off. We've been searching everywhere, but we haven't found him." Toby's ears perked even more. His senses were finely tuned to the situation, and he seemed to understand the urgency. Lily looked down at him, seeing the determination in his eyes. "Toby, let's find that puppy," she said, her voice filled with conviction. With Toby leading the way, Lily followed closely as he sniffed the ground and scanned the area with intense focus. Toby's keen nose was working overtime, picking up any sense that might lead them to the lost puppy. They started by searching the playground, Toby's nose darting from one corner to another. The playground was busy with children and families, and it was clear that Toby had a challenging task ahead. Despite the bustling crowd, he remained resolute. Toby and Lily ventured into the nearby wooded area. The underbrush and fallen leaves provided a challenging terrain, but Toby's determination never wavered. He carefully navigated through the dense foliage, his nose leading the way. As they moved deeper into the woods, the scent of the lost puppy grew stronger. Toby's pace quickened, and Lily could see the focused intensity in his eyes. The sun was beginning to set, casting an orange glow through the trees. The fading light did nothing to diminish Toby's energy. If anything, it seemed to fuel his determination. The morning had started like any other, full of excitement and play. Emily had brought Gizmo to the park, where the sun filtered through the trees, casting soft shadows on the green grass. The air was crisp, with the scent of fresh dew and blooming flowers, and the occasional bark of dogs echoed through the open space. It was the perfect day for exploring, and Gizmo, with his wagging tail and boundless energy, was ready for adventure. Emily, full of joy, had been tossing a small ball for Gizmo, who eagerly ran after it, his legs moving as fast as they could manage. Each time he caught the ball, his tiny chest puffed out with pride. His loyalty to Emily and the simple joy of play made him feel so safe and loved. But on one toss, Emily accidentally threw the ball too far, sending it bouncing toward the edge of the woods. Gizmo, without hesitation, raced after it, eager to bring it back as he always did. He bounded toward the ball, weaving through the trees, excited by the challenge. The woods, with its mysterious rustling and earthly smells, pulled him in even further. As he closed in on the ball, something else caught his eye. A flutter of movement to his right. Bright, colorful wings, flickering in the sunlight. A butterfly. Gizmo's instinct kicked in. Forgetting the ball and Emily for a moment, he bolted after the butterfly, his short legs propelling him forward. The world around him blurred as he focused entirely on the delicate creature flitting from flower to flower. His puppy curiosity got the better of him, as it often did, and the farther the butterfly flew, the deeper he wandered into the woods. The chase was exhilarating. His heart raced with excitement, his tiny barks punctuating the air as he bounced through the undergrowth, his tail wagging furiously. Each leap he made brought him farther away from Emily and the familiar sound of the park. He darted through the bushes, across patches of wildflowers until the ball, the park, and even Emily were forgotten in the thrill of the chase. But as the butterfly disappeared into the branches above, the thrill of the adventure began to fade. Gizmo stopped in his tracks, panting heavily and looking around. The trees now seemed taller, the shadows longer, and the once bright open park was nowhere in sight. Sounds of children playing and dogs barking had faded away, leaving only the rustling of leaves and the distant chirp of birds. His ears drooped, and a soft whimper escaped his throat. Gizmo had ventured too far, and now he was lost. His playful energy faded as confusion set in. He glanced around, trying to find something familiar, but all he saw were trees. Endless trees. His little body shivered as he realized he was alone. Fear crept in, replacing the excitement that had driven him. He barked a hopeful, pleading sound, but there was no response. His once wagging tail now hung limp, and his small paws trembled as he realized how far he had wandered. Gizmo started to retrace his steps, but everything looked the same. The scents were unfamiliar, and each path he had tried only seemed to take him deeper into the woods. His heart pounded and his mind raced. Was Emily still looking for him? Would she know where to find him? The once inviting woods now felt like a maze, each rustling leaf and distant sound making him jump. He wandered further, his eyes darting nervously, his little legs growing tired. The fun and games of early had drained him, both physically and emotionally. Thought of Emily tugged at his heart. He missed the warmth of her hand and the sound of her voice calling his name. His eyes filled with worry as he curled into a small ball beneath a bush, hoping somehow someone would come find him. He barked one last time, a pitiful, high-pitched sound, but the woods remained silent. Gizmo closed his eyes, his little body shivering. All he could do now was wait, hoping Emily hadn't forgotten him and that somehow she would come to his rescue. Suddenly, Toby stopped and sniffed the air with a renewed interest. He edged closer to the thicket. his nose twitching as he investigated the area. Lily watched with bated breath, hoping that Toby had found something. She called out softly, "Toby, what is it?" Toby nosed through the underbrush and with a triumphant bark uncovered a small, trembling puppy huddled in a corner. The puppy's fur was dirty and his eyes were wide with fear. It was clear that the little dog had been hiding for a while. Lily hurried over, her heart racing with relief. "Good boy, Toby," she praised, kneeling beside the puppy. She gently reached out, speaking in a soothing voice. "It's okay, little one. We're here to help you." The lost puppy, sensing the kindness in Lily's voice, began to calm down. Lily carefully lifted the trembling dog into her arms, and Toby stood beside her, his tail wagging slightly as if to offer reassurance. The puppy seemed to find comfort in Toby's presence, and its fear gradually subsided. Toby's day had started with its usual excitement. He loved morning in the parks, the smells, the open air, the endless possibilities for exploration. His keen eyes watched over his young friend Lily and her mother, always making sure they were safe. As they entered the park, Toby's nose twitched with the fresh scent of dew on the grass, mingling with the familiar aroma of the trees and flowers. The morning sun bathed everything in a warm golden light, casting long shadows across the park. Toby had sensed the shift in the air long before Lily had understood what was happening. The atmosphere of the park had been lighthearted, filled with the sound of laughter and excited barking, but now an anxious energy had settled over the crowd. Toby stood by Lily, his eyes sharp and ears twitching, as he caught bits and pieces of the conversation. Words like "lost" and "puppy" floated on the breeze. He stayed close to Lily as she made her way toward the group of concerned people. The closer they got, the more Toby understood. A little girl had lost her dog, a puppy named Gizmo. Toby had seen the pup before, full of excitement and energy, darting around the park. Now it seemed that energy had led him astray. As Lily spoke to the girl's mother, Toby could feel her worry in the air. The woman's voice was hurried, her words filled with panic as she explained how Emily had thrown the ball and Gizmo had chased it into the woods. The pup hadn't come back, and now they couldn't find him. Toby shifted on his paws, his keen eyes scanning the tree line where Gizmo had last been seen. His nose twitched as he tried to catch familiar scent in the wind. Toby's heart sank a little. He knew how quickly a game could turn into something more serious, especially for a puppy as young as the curious as Gizmo. Toby had seen it happen before. Pups getting distracted, wandering off, following their noses into unfamiliar places. His protective instincts flared as he imagined Gizmo lost in the thick woods, far from the safety of the fairgrounds. As Lily and her mother continued speaking with Emily's family, Toby's attention was fixated on the woods. His ears stood straight, listening to any sign of movement, any sound that might indicate the pup was nearby. His body tensed, ready to spring into action if needed. Toby couldn't help to feel an overwhelming urge to search for the puppy himself. His loyalty to Lily kept him by her side, but his mind raced with concerns for Gizmo. He let out a soft whimper, looking up at Lily as if to say, "We need a help." Lily glanced down at him, her expression mirroring the worry that had settled deep in Toby's chest. She seemed to understand his urgency. As they waited for more information, Toby thought about Gizmo's day. The pup had been so full of energy, bouncing around as he played with the ball. Toby knew that excitement all too well, the way a young dog could lose track of everything else when chasing after something, letting the world fade away as they followed their instinct. Gizmo had likely run after the ball without a second thought, and when he realized he was alone in the woods, the fear must have set in. Toby imagined the little puppy, ears perked and tail down, wandering through the unfamiliar trees. He could picture Gizmo's tiny legs carrying him farther and farther away from the park, distracted by the sounds and smells of the forest. Toby's own heart beat faster at the thought. He knew that feeling, the confusion of being somewhere new, the fear of being separated from those who cared for you. He nudged Lily again, more instantly this time. His eyes were focused on the woods, and his mind was set. They had to find Gizmo before the puppy ventured too far. As soon as Lily gave Toby the signal, he bolted toward the edge of the park, his paws kicking up dirt as he sprinted toward the thick line of trees. The familiar sound of the park, the chatter of people, the laughter of children, and the occasional bark of a dog faded quickly as Toby charged into the woods, the air becoming cooler, filled with the earthy smells of damp soil and fallen leaves. Toby wasn't interested in the forest beauty. His mind was locked on one thing: finding Gizmo. The further he went, the denser the woods became. Sunlight barely filtered through the thick canopy above, casting long, shifting shadows across the uneven ground. Toby weaved expertly through the underbrush, his nose working furiously as he sniffed for any trace of Gizmo's scent. His heart raced, his ears constantly swiveling to catch any sound that might lead him closer to the lost puppy. The park had disappeared behind him, replaced by the vastness of the forest where every rustle and creak of the branches felt unfamiliar and distant. Lily followed closely, her footsteps barely audible as they ventured deeper into the woods. Toby could feel her presence, the reassurance she had with him as they left the familiar paths of the park far behind. They were deep now, far deeper than they had ever gone before, the quiet hum of the park long forgotten. Toby paused for a moment, nose to the ground, sniffing out the faint trace of gizmo scent that lingered on the leaves. His tail gave a small wag. He had a lead. He pushed forward, diving deeper into the woods, where the trees stood taller and the shadows thicker. The air was still, save for the occasional rustle of the wind through the branches. Toby's body was low to the ground, focused entirely on the trail, every fiber of his being locked into Gizmo's scent. It felt like they had been walking for hours, Lily keeping pace behind him, her breathing steady but filled with concern. The light barely reached this part of the woods, and everything around them seemed unfamiliar. The once faint trail was now clearer. Gizmo had been here, recently. Toby's sharp eyes caught a glimpse of disturbed leaves and paw prints in the soft ground, small, like Gizmo's. Suddenly, Toby heard it. A faint rustle, barely noticeable in the thick silence of the woods. He froze, ears picked, eyes scanning the dense brush ahead. His nose confirmed it. Gizmo was close. Toby crept forward, his body low, careful not to startle whatever was hiding in the underbrush. As he drew closer, the rustling grew louder. Toby's heart raced with anticipation. As Toby nosed through the underbrush, his heart racing with the thrill of the search, with a triumphant bark, he uncovered a small, trembling puppy, huddled in the corner of the forest. The little dog's fur was dirty, and its wide, frightened eyes darted around as if searching for escape. It was clear that the puppy had been hiding here for some time, its tiny body shaking from fear and cold. Lily, her heart pounding with a mix of hope and anxiety, hurried over as soon as she saw Toby's discovery. "Good boy, Toby," she praised, her voice trembling with emotion. She kneeled beside the frightened puppy, her hands gently reaching out. "It's okay, little one. We're here to help you." The lost puppy looked up at Lily, sensing the kindness in her voice. Gradually, its trembling subsided as Lily spoke soothingly, offering comfort and reassurance. She carefully lifted the tiny, shivering dog into her arms, cradling it gently. Toby stood close by, his tail wagging with a soft, reassuring rhythm as if to say, "You're safe now." The puppy, still cautious but comforted as Lily's warm embrace. The puppy, still cautious but comforted by Lily's warm embrace and Toby's steady presence, began to relax. Its fear slowly faded, replaced by a tentative trust in the people who had come to its rescue. Toby nuzzled against Lily, his eyes filled with a mix of pride and relief as he watched the little dog settle down in her arms. The forest, once a daunting maze, now seemed to offer a sense of calm as they made their way back toward the park. With Gizmo safe and the park in sight, Lily carried the puppy gently as Toby walked beside her, his head held high with a sense of accomplishment. The park's familiar sights and sounds grew clearer, offering a warm and comforting contrast to the shadow of the woods they had just left behind. As they emerged from the trees, the sunlight seemed to shine a little brighter, casting a hopeful glow over their path. With the puppy safely in her arms, Lily made her way back to the playground, Toby trotting proudly beside her. The crowd had dispersed, and Emily and her parents were waiting anxiously near the spot where they had last seen the puppy. Their faces lit up with tears of joy when they saw Lily and Toby approach. Emily rushed toward Emily rushed forward, her eyes wide with hope. "Is that my puppy?" she asked, her voice trembling. Lily nodded and gently handed the puppy over to Emily. "Yes, it is. Toby and I found him in the park." Emily clutched her puppy tightly, her face glowing with relief and happiness. She turned to Lily and Toby, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you so much. I was so worried." Lily smiled warmly, feeling a profound sense of fulfillment. She patted Toby's head, his eyes shining with pride. "Toby did all the hard work," she said. "He's the real hero here." As the sun set and the park began to quiet down, Lily and Toby headed back home. The day had been filled with challenges, but Toby's determination and skill had turned the situation around. Lily reflected on the day's events as they walked, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for Toby's abilities. That night, as Lily and Toby settled into their cozy home, the warmth of their recent adventures still lingered. Lily eagerly recounted the day's events to her parents, her eyes shining with excitement. She described how Toby had led the search, bravely venturing deep into the woods, and how they had finally found Gizmo shivering in a corner. Her parents listened intently, their faces reflecting pride and admiration for both Lily and Toby. "You two were amazing today," her dad said, wrapping an arm around Lily and giving Toby a gentle pat. "We're so proud of you, both." Her mother nodded in agreement, her eyes soft with affection. "You really showed what it means to be a hero today." Toby's bravery and determination saved Gizmo. To celebrate their heroic acts and kindness, Lily's parents decided to treat both Lily and Toby. They prepared a special dinner for Lily and a tasty doggy treat for Toby, turning the evening into a small celebration. As they enjoyed their meal together, the house was filled with warmth and laughter, a perfect ending to a day that had brought out the best in everyone involved. As Lily drifted off to sleep, she thought about the day's events and the joy of reuniting a lost puppy with its family. With Toby by her side, she felt confident that she could face any challenge that came their way. Together they had made a difference, and Lily looked forward to their future adventures with hope and determination. And that is the end of chapter 7. Again, thank you all for going on this journey with me. And if you have a story that you're just waiting to be read, I want to read it. Send me those unpublished works, your self-published works, poems, screenplays, short stories. Send them to the email address in the description below, and you might be the next featured author in an episode of I'll Read That. Building a community is hard work. It takes time, and I want writers to support other writers. I want listeners to be able to get a chance to listen to authors that are coming up or want to have their works published. So everybody's story should have a shot at being heard. Don't forget, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing doesn't cost you anything. It really doesn't. And your comments could help a writer develop their craft and their story for the future. So as always, folks, please keep writing, and I'll read that.